Sounds great.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios in Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, more details emerge about yesterday's shootout with police. Another murder recorded early this morning. BEC looking to press criminal charges over the alleged abuse of overtime. Plus, experts learn about a possible terrible flu season. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige McCartney, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. Police say they're getting close to figuring out who was behind that shootout and botched armored truck robbery outside a Cowpen Road Webshop yesterday. While head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Roll, admitted that they still don't know who the three masked gunmen on the loose are, they believe they know the identities of at least two of the alleged accomplices. Nakia DeVoe reports.
New details emerging from yesterday's brazen attempted armed robbery of an armored truck. Detectives here at CDU are following significant leads, and Superintendent Roll says that people who were initially thought to be victims are now on the suspects list. That includes the woman who officers initially thought was abducted from the scene when the alleged shooters jumped into her vehicle and sped off. Roll says investigators have information that suggests the woman was involved in the attempted robbery, and they now know who she is. In fact, the superintendent had this message for the female suspect.
She's listening to me, and I want her to know that we're going to get her. And she know I know who she is. So when she's ready, she comes to me. Okay? We do believe that she's involved in it.
As for the suspended police officer who was found shot in the face on St. Vincent Road just a block away from the incident, Roll says he had a successful surgery, and officers will question him as soon as he's discharged from hospital in hopes of getting the identities of the masked gunmen. The superintendent said there is a lot of evidence that suggests the indicted officer was involved in the botched heist. NB12 understands that the officer was attached to the Fire Services branch of the Royal Bahamas Police Force and was charged before the Complaints and Discipline Unit last year. He was interdicted pending the outcome of a trial.
No, he's a suspect. I can't confirm that he's been a part. He is suspected of being a part of it. We believe he was a part of it, and we'll get to the bottom of that in due course.
Detectives are studying surveillance footage from the stores here at the plaza, which Roll says should greatly assist them in their investigations. Now, as for the other crime scenes linked to yesterday's attempted armed robbery, Roll says they'll just have to depend on eyewitness accounts. It was initially believed that the officer might have been a victim of an unrelated shooting, but a mask, ammunition, and a statement from someone at the web shop suggest he was at the crime scene. Roll said residents in the St. Vincent area saw a bloodied man fall out of a silver car before someone fired shots in the air and sped off. That's when officers believe they went to Seven Hills and set that vehicle on fire. Eyewitnesses in that area say they saw another vehicle fleeing that scene.
After they destroyed the vehicle, the same day went back in this area and dropped the person off into the street. And so I don't know what was the rationale behind them doing that, but we are looking for a white truck. We believe a white truck may have been involved, and which is new. We didn't have that bit of information yesterday.
Roll is encouraging anyone with information to come forward. Information will be strictly confidential. Reporting for NB12, I'm Nakia DeVoe.
And police found themselves opening yet another murder investigation this morning after a man's bullet-riddled corpse was discovered near the intersection of Market Street and Wolf Road. Superintendent Roll says the victim's body was found just after 6 o'clock with several gunshot wounds to the upper body. He said police found the body after following a trail of blood.
Officers followed this trail where they found a body of a male suffering from apparent gunshot wound. EMS was summoned. They responded to this area where they examined the body and pronounced him dead. We have no leads at this time as to the circumstances, further circumstances or motive.
Well, police were still processing the scene up to 7 a.m. while they collected several bags of evidence. Roll says investigators have very few leads into this latest murder. They're asking anyone with information to contact them at 919, Crime Stoppers at 328 TIPS, or investigators at CDU at 502-9991. This is the 5th recorded murder so far for the year. Well, Chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Leslie Miller, revealing the shocking amount of overtime certain employees there are making on an annual basis. Miller says in 2012 alone, BEC employees took home more than $11.8 million in overtime pay. That's in addition to their annual base salaries. Miller gave the example of a single employee racking up more than $420,000 in overtime over a 5-year period. That employee had a base salary of $49,000, but according to Miller, in 1 year, the employee took home more than $100,000 in overtime. Miller said an international accounting firm crunched the numbers and found it humanly impossible for someone to work that much, and therefore, once the audit is complete by the end of the month, the corporation will seek to file criminal charges.
From talking to the accounting firm, it is humanly impossible for that to take place, and our job is, as soon as we get a report, we intend to put that in the hands of the police. We have to. That's the payment people money. We must be responsible for what takes place in that corporation.
The BEC chairman said he hopes to put an end to the abuse of overtime by the end of the month.
Hopefully, February 1st, the corporation will go on a shift system where employees go on different shifts to enable us to eliminate as much as we can the overtime. Listen, this country, the government itself and the people of Bahamas should not bear that burden any longer. With $1.3 million last year in overtime for 12 months. It's projected again that if we don't stop it, this year will exceed $12 million again. It just got to stop. There's no discussions on that. It must and it will stop.
Well, Miller was speaking during his contribution to the pension protection bill in the House of Assembly. He added that the government also paid out $5.1 million in accrued vacation time for BEC employees, $1.5 million in sick leave and absenteeism, and $6 million for the medical plan. He said the government also paid more than $160 million for BEC employee pensions, none of which is contributed by the employees.
You ask them to contribute 25% towards the plan, we'll turn your lights off. That's the first thing they say. Blackmail and collusion. It costs BEC, the people of the Bahamas, every year they spend in excess of $12 million to put into the pension plan. And you want to hear something, Mr. Speaker? Last year they got $3.1 million in bonuses and allowances. Yeah, to say. $3.1 million last year in bonuses and allowances.
And in other news from the House, a leaked letter from management at the National Insurance Board revealing that NIB has advised the government against purchasing the City Market's warehouse on the East-West Highway. As a result, Minister of National Insurance Shane Gibson said NIB will not purchase the facility. The letter, obtained by opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis and read in the House of Assembly, states that the property was appraised last year at $8 million. However, a government-appointed assessor reported that while the property was structurally sound, it requires major repairs as it has been vandalized and stripped of all electrical copper wiring. Minnis says what else the letter revealed.
It has been determined that the Bahamas Customs Department does not have an immediate need for the property, and previous offers for the property were around $4 to $5 million. Management is recommending that an offer not be made for the purchase of Bahamas Supermarkets Limited warehouse and land located on East-West Highway until the government has identified a suitable tenant and accept payment terms. Mr. Speaker, I would hope the government have no intentions of going into the real estate business, rental business, because this communication from National Insurance show that customs do not need it. Government should not be competing with the public sector.
Well, in response, Gibson said that he had only just received the letter last week, Thursday, and said the government will take the advice of NIB management.
It was only sent to me Thursday last week. And they're recommending, as he said, that we not make an offer, which of course we will not make an offer based on that recommendation. And so it's interesting that this member now would have this information today, which he obviously got over the last couple of days, which I just got last week, Thursday.
Well, Gibson added that the proposed purchase of the City Market warehouse was never to bail out the former owners, the Finlayson family. Last week in the House of Assembly, the opposition suggested that the government was practicing cronyism by considering the purchase of the facility to bail out friends, companions, and lovers.
We were trying to assist them, the employees, because when Mr. Turnquest met with us, Mr. Turnquest asked us to see how we could assist them. So the government said, listen here, if the custom department have an interest in this building, then we should look at purchasing it. Of course, when we spoke to Customs said they had an interest.
Member for Kalani.
Subsequent to that, Mr. Speaker, Customs obviously said they didn't have an interest. And so since Customs have no interest, since the investment manager at NIB is recommending to us and the opposition that we not purchase it, then of course it wouldn't make sense to purchase it at this stage to have the employees, Mr. Speaker.